Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview. It is the Merseyside derby, Everton versus Liverpool. Jack and myself here to look forward to this one as much as you can. Look forward to a Merseyside derby. But again, it's one of those derbies again where, because of the circumstances of what it means for both teams, I don't think any of that outside stuff comes into it of like, maybe it's not even an outside stuff, but even the feeling of dread or the feeling of what it means to us as a rivalry. I don't even think any of that comes in. I'm not, no Liverpool fan, I imagine, is going to be sitting there thinking, I want to beat Everton, I hate them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you will have those feelings, of course.
But I think it factors into the arguably bigger overall narrative that both teams carry into this game for the stakes of both teams.
Of course, Liverpool will think they've got to win because of the games and because they're trying to win the league, and they'll see us as an easy touch, and because of where we are in the league, and for us, because of where we are on the league, we'll be thinking we've got to try and get something out of this. We're running out of games. We want to secure our Premier League spot as early as we possibly can. And I don't even think anyone goes, wouldn't it be great to beat Liverpool? You know, it's just be great to get a point out of this tough game, tough opposition. And that's the way they'll be. And that sort of takes you out of that rivalry, that Merseyside derby way of looking at it. Of course, 5 to 8, the dread will be in your stomach, the pit of your stomach, of course it will, knowing that. But just now, I'm quite relaxed about the whole thing.
I think you're right in what you're saying, but I think the stakes for both teams, we've both got our own battle going into this that's already going on, and we're both looking at, other teams' results as we've both got things to play for this season. But I think the importance of that in a game like this, it's heightened even more because Liverpool fans, of course, the main thing for them is, trying to win the league, and they've got to win every game for the rest of the season. For us, the main thing is trying to stay up. But for the Reds, they'll be thinking, imagine if we win this game, and it shows that was one of the games where we had to win, and that was a massive part in us winning the title. And we went to Goodison Park and we got a result there that was massive for us in our title race. And for us, it can be, we stayed up, and that point or that win we got against Liverpool was that was a real difference maker. That made us safe before X amount of games. So you're right in what you're saying. There are more important things than the idea of a local derby going on for both teams. But I think it's even more exaggerated. I still think it feeds into it to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right there. It'd be something that maybe people would come back to. But those stakes are just not there for me. And to be honest, I don't really feel those stakes anyway at the moment, because Liverpool, where Liverpool are as a team and what they're trying to achieve, there's no rivalry for me there. The rivalry doesn't exist if you've got one team at the top of the Premier League and another team scrambling down at the bottom. We all know where we all fit in at the moment, sadly. Merseyside derbies are when both teams are going for the same thing or going for the same prizes, or there's genuine... Don't get me wrong, when I was a kid, and I was in my teen years and we were actually winning them, Liverpool were finishing above us, but we do generally well, and they'd call us, that's your cup final, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not winning anything, but we're winning the derby. So it all sort of balanced out, whereas now Liverpool are winning things again, of course. And we're struggling to stay in the Premier League. So to me, there's no... I can't imagine anyone's picking up the phone to me on, anytime. When Liverpool beat us early on the season, no one was picking up the phone to me going, we beat you. I'm like, have you seen us, mate? Are you really getting any kind of joy out of that? So I don't really worry about that stuff. And I said, I haven't worried about that stuff for a while, because I've seen, I think since 2012, when Liverpool beat us in the semi-final, and it was the worst Liverpool team I've ever seen in my life, beating us at Wembley when we were completely in control. I was just thinking, I've seen it all now. I shouldn't really get upset. Of course, you still do with your team. When we went to Anfield and Martinez's last derby, and you see shameful performances, that still upsets you if your team don't try or don't put it in. I'm not massively affected if the team's had the goal like it did this season, and Anfield has had a real go and has been beaten, and obviously there's always like a controversy. That doesn't worry me. But at Goodison, we've done quite well. I think they've beaten us twice in 10 years, and I know we haven't won any of those games. But again, I look at the state of the teams that we've had in that time, and I look at this game and think we can get something out of this. Liverpool, Liverpool are having their stickiest spell, even though they've won, I think, 3 of the last 6 Premier League games. They are having a sticky spell. They got knocked out of the FA Cup. They've drawn again at Old Trafford in the Premier League. They've been knocked out of the Europa League as well. They are having a little bit of a wobble. They were back to winning ways, of course, on Sunday at Fulham in a really good win. But, they've got 2 away games this week, and the pressure's on them because just where they are in the Premier, obviously getting beat by Palace as well. The pressure's on them a little bit to try and get themselves back. I think people have written them off in the Premier League last couple of weeks ago. I think them and Arsenal are back in the mix now, of course, because City, no one expects City to slip up, but at the same time, I don't think this is the City of last season this year. They might still slip up, and they've got to be there to catch them. But I have no fear going into this game because I just think Merseyside derby at home. We've got a decent record against them. They haven't been absolutely brilliant, and there's an opportunity there.
Well, there's 2 lines of thinking going into this game about how you'd approach it tactically. On one hand, you look at the fact that in recent weeks they've maybe struggled at breaking teams down a little bit, like the Atalanta match the other night, and they're also missing Jota, who's probably their best finisher at the club. Jurgen Klopp announced today he's not going to be with them. And you think that Everton, as a team, our strengths are what we do defensively. It's our structure rather than what we do going forward. The other hand says that this Liverpool team does concede a fair few goals. I think it's 21 matches this season they've conceded first. Now, they've gone on to win a lot of those games, but, the idea is you can get a goal ahead and maybe try and sit it out.
They don't concede, by the way, they don't concede loads of goals, but they don't keep many clean sheets, are they?
Exactly. So there's 2 ways you can approach this game, thinking, do we try and get after it, try and get that goal that, they might well give you? Or do you try and do what we're good at, which is sit back and be structured and try and catch them out? I think when you look at that Chelsea game the other week and the idea of we were going to go out there and we were going to get after them and how badly we struggled with that, I think we need to stay away from that. I also think, and I know we don't like to acknowledge it, but they have a much better team than us at the moment. It's just facts.
I can easily acknowledge that. I mean, even if I didn't want to acknowledge Liverpool a good side, I know Everton don't have a very good side, so I can easily acknowledge that.
So, as much as, we might not like that, you need to be aware of it. Yeah. So you need to go, okay, what's our equaliser in this game? Yes, we can talk about the pressure of the occasion and going into a Merseyside derby where, we could maybe do with a point, and that's not ideal circumstances for Everton. Liverpool are in a situation where they need to win every game for the rest of the season to have a chance at that title because they're behind now. And Arsenal play before, they might pick up a win beforehand, so going in, Liverpool might have even more ground to make up. They might be making up ground on Arsenal as well as City. If we can keep them out and, not fall for the idea of trying to get at them because they might give a goal away, keep them out, make them frustrated, make them think we're going to drop points again when we can't afford to. That's our equaliser. That's where the quality difference stops to matter as much.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I think the Chelsea game it shouldn't have been an eye-opener because the manager should have really known what he was expecting, but coming out against Chelsea and actually going, you know what, we're going to press these really high and just see what happens. I just found that absolutely mad that Sean Dyche did that. I still can't really understand why he did it. And I think that week may have been some humble pie might have been eaten by him that week because he looked, certainly following that week, I think he might have had to have a look at himself and go, I have made a major mistake what I've done in this game. So certainly the Forest game is never going to be like that. And this game won't be like that. We won't be chasing them all around the pitch. You can't leave the spaces at the back for Liverpool. They're just too good. They make too many chances. And Liverpool's biggest issue this season is not taking those chances, which is like, and I know we've had the XG problem, but they've really had the problem because they've got top class talent at their end of the pitch. At least we can look at it and go, well, the reason why we haven't took our chances is because we just don't have the talent to take the chances. They really do, and they've missed loads of chances. So we've got to limit that as much as we can, and we will play the way we play. We'll sit back, we'll let them have the possession. We won't let them counter-attack us. We won't be sucked into counter to allowing that either, I don't think. I think, again, we're too savvy for that. The manager's too savvy, and the team just hasn't got just hasn't got that kind of bravery anyway, purposefully. So we'll just sit back and say, we'll try and break us down. We won't allow the space over the top for Salah. I know there was a couple of times against Forest we did get caught out with the ball over the top. But we'll make it as hard as we can not to do that and not get sucked up the pitch. So, and it will be a case of frustrate Liverpool as much as we can and not get caught doing anything stupid. You know, things like set pieces. We shouldn't be conceding from set pieces. We have, by the way, recently. We have conceded goals, but we shouldn't. And that's basically you saying to them, cut us open and do what you can to cut us open. And that's got to be the first thing, hasn't it? It's clean sheet's got to be the first thing for us. No matter what else happens, clean sheet's got to be the first thing we look for. And if we don't score, but then at least we get something out of the game. That's got to be the first port of call. Because the Chelsea game was just mad because it was like, well, if you score, we'll do something to try and score when we don't score that many goals. So it's going to be difficult. We have to be at our best to stop them. You know, we have been found wanting this season when it comes to the top sides. You know, Arsenal, we've been beaten at home. Man City, we've beaten at home. Manchester United, we were beaten at home. You know, a lot of these teams have taken us apart. So, you get the derby factor in it then when you get the other side, the crowd and everything involved, and hoping that they can play their part. But it's going to be a very difficult game. But let's be the best version of us we can be. I think there was a little bit of like that on Sunday where we were back to being good at what we were doing. When we beat Burnley, we weren't particularly good, and we certainly weren't the best version of whatever we are. You know, which I think as an Everton fan, we're still all trying to figure out what we are. But at least let's be the best version of that. And if the best version of Liverpool turns up on Wednesday, then they beat us. We say this all the time when you're playing a good side. If the best version of them turns up, they're beating us. But if the best version of us turns up and stops them being the best version of them, then we've got an opportunity to get something out of the game.
Well, definitely, and you're right in saying that if the best version of them turns up, they beat us. But it's about what can we do to limit the opportunities for them to be the best versions of themselves. They like the ball over the top. Okay, so let's not play a high line. We don't do that anyway. Let's cut out that ball to Núñez or Salah over the top, so that's not an option. They like to try and catch teams out because they've got so much pace up front. Let's not be caught with 6 men committed up in their box and give them the opportunity to run at us with no men back like they did. I know it was from a set piece, but they did it to us at Anfield a year ago in Dyche's first derby, so let's not get caught like that. I think we'll very happily operate in a window of around 20 to 25% possession tomorrow. And I know that's below our usual sweet spot, but we need to understand that we're not going to go out and be a better footballing side than Liverpool. We need to just do the things that we're good at and do them well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing that Dyche doesn't get caught up in is trying to take teams on at their own game, generally. And I said that's why the Chelsea game was such a shock, because he doesn't try and take teams on. He knows the limitations mostly for the squad and doesn't try and do anything more ambitious. And that's probably the best thing. That's why he is the manager of Everton Football Club right now. And that's why, you know, there's no way he would ever get the sack this season. And I probably won't get the sack in the summer if I'm honest. But it is because he understands. He is a manager who has worked with the limitations for most of his career and has got joy out of that. And that is hard to watch as a fan, because you're also, as a fan, you have to watch this not particularly good football, but then you have to look at yourself and go, because we all have enthusiasm as football fans, we all have hope, and that's the main part. It's hope. You all think your players are better than what they are, and let's be honest, Liverpool fans think their players are the best in the world. So there's no more than them when it comes to your own fan. But you want your players to be better. You always go, oh yeah, he's as good as him, or we've got one of the best left backs in the Premier League, and that, you know what I mean? That's the way you all always talk up your players. But at least there's a realisation with Sean Dyche of like, these aren't the best, but I will get the most out of them. Some people don't believe that he is getting the most out of them, but then other people are like, well, maybe he is. And that will always be the thing with managers, is like, whether you like a manager, don't like your manager, it's these players are better than what they're showing. And it's like, well, are they though, really? Maybe he's getting everything out of them. Who actually knows? Because then you're thinking, oh, you've got to bring another manager in, and then another manager goes, I'm going to try and make these players amazing. And then you find out they're not amazing. And it's that's just the way where we are. That's where we are, to be honest, right now. So let's just have a little look at Liverpool's side from the last game they played at Fulham, as I said. There you go. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold was back and he got a goal. Pretty much near enough their best back four, as you can see. Gravenbach and Elliott with Endo in midfield. I don't think that midfield will start this game. Endo might start the game, but I don't think Elliott and Gravenbach are starting this game. Luis Diaz and Gakpo up front with Jota. Well, as you said before, we know Jota is injured. They will have the likes of Alexis McAllister available. They'll have the likes of Salah available. They'll have the likes of Nunes available. They'll have the likes of Joe Gomez, Szoboszlai available. And they've obviously got Alisson back in goal as well. So they've got, Kanate on the bench as well, who can come into the side. So they've got lots of chances to obviously make changes for this game. And obviously one of those players they can bring back is Mo Salah. Let's just have a look at his numbers. 27 games this season, 17 goals, an XG of 18.27. So, I mean, that just shows how clinical he is, that his XG is 18 and he scored 17. Assists 9 and an XA of 6.84. So, his assists are better than what his expected. And as we've seen from the heat map, they're obviously all coming off the right-hand side. So Mykolenko, who has genuinely been one of our best players this season, will have his work cut out, but he does love that, Mykolenko. He does love going against a player like Salah.
He's had some decent performances against Salah before, to be fair to Mykolenko. I think it'll also be a big day for Dwight McNeil as well, because he's going to have to be doing a lot of tracking back, which he normally does. Maybe he has to go a bit wider than we've seen at the weekend against Forest, where, he's coming inside a lot and joining the midfield. I think a big part of his job tomorrow will be covering Salah, giving Mykolenko a hand with Salah, because the left back pushes up so high for them as well. We'll often need two bodies there. But, just looking at that Liverpool team that we just looked at on the graphic, they have some very good players, especially in the midfield, but they do lack the presence of a natural six in that holding midfield role. The lad Endo they've brought in has actually done quite well.
Yeah.
McAllister's played there and done well, but they don't have that real defensive presence in there who's always going to be back. And maybe when you look at what this Everton team has been successful at, even going back to the game against Forest, it was the midfield runs from Decore, from Gomez, from McNeil operating in that space behind a striker. If they don't have that natural midfield presence to always be a guarantee to counter that, maybe that's an area we can get success.
Yeah, I suppose. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure they do need a natural six for it to play against us. I think they can get away with the plays they've got. I do think they'll probably play Endo because it will be it will be a little bit tight in there just because of the kind of plays we've got. You want a battler, you'd want someone who can put the foot in when we need it. Let's just have a look at Everton's team from the win against Forest. And as you can see there, Adesanya Gay, Andre Gomez and Decore in the centre of the park for us. Ashley Young at right back, Jack Harrison at right midfield coming in, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously Dwight McNeil on the other side. Let's be honest, the back four will pretty much be the same, but he might put Ben Godfrey in at right back because of the pace, and obviously Ashley Young got caught out for the pace last time and got sent off, and they'll target him again. They will target him, so he might drop out of the team. Adesanya Gay will play, Decore will play. Just that Andre Gomez position for me, I can imagine Gomez will come out for this game because I'm not sure how. It's nice to have someone on the ball. I just don't know how much. The way Liverpool press, I think they'll just take the ball off.
There's
Gomez.
not going to be much room for it in this game, is there? And maybe you're looking at James Garner, probably does a bit more off the ball running than Andre Gomez. And yeah, what Gomez brings to the team, there is something there for us. He was decent against Forest. He's had some okay performances this season, but how much opportunity is he really going to get to be on the ball and play some intelligent passes? Maybe you're just looking at the work ethic of Garner, and he can slot into that right back slot if you need a bit of extra cover as well. So
who do you think then? Because obviously Onana and James Garner both dropped out. They're both taken off at half time. They were both taken off at half time against Chelsea. They would need them started. James Garner come in. I think the manager's made his mind up on Onana. we all believe Onana will leave in the summer, of course we do. And I think the manager might be looking at it long term and thinking, well, that's him gone, so I need to build something. So do you think he'll start James Garner for this rather than having that Onana with that sort of relaxed nature, which does, I understand, wind up a lot of Evertonians? Do you think he'll start with James Garner?
I think he sees Garner as a safer bet than Onana. I don't think it's necessarily fair, but, to be fair to me, through the book of both of them after the Chelsea game, wasn't impressed with either of them and he dropped them both. But I think, he looks at Onana and he does see that he's got that ability on the ball. But sometimes, I don't think as much these days, but certainly at times in his Everton career, he's took a little bit too much time on the ball. And again, it's that idea of we don't really have much room for that anyway. I'd rather that surefire bet of I know Garner's going to cover X amount of ground and do all these little dirty jobs in the midfield that unfortunately we do need to commit a player to do in a game like this. It doesn't matter how good Onana or Gomez technically are. James Garner, I know, will give me this level of running in the middle.
Yeah.
And also, like you say, I don't think he's Onana's biggest fan. Whereas I do think he sees something in Garner and sees him as someone who can sort of be that utility man in the Everton midfield for the next few years.
Yeah, well, he sees the future, doesn't he? He sees it as the future. So it's the future of this team rather than Onana. So I don't think he'll start Onana. In the perfect world, as I've said loads of times, Onana for me is a better player, but maybe he just doesn't fit in this team. Maybe he just doesn't fit in with what the manager wants. Maybe it is a clash of what the manager wants compared to what the player's trying to do. We'll wait and see. But I think James Garner will come into that midfield just to add a little bit of bite, and that's what will be. So it's gonna be a very tough game. If Everton can get anything out of this game, it would be so important just to try and keep us over that line. We can just about see a bit of daylight now, can't we? A bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Just if we can get something in this game, set us up brilliantly for the Brentford game on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's a game where, of course, we really want the points, we want the win. You want the bragging rights, but when you try and be realistic over it, you see where they are in the table and you see where we are. It's just not likely. That's just how football is. But if we can get that, it is almost an unexpected point, an unexpected bonus. Brentford's still the big one for us this week. That's probably our most important game in terms of it's winnable. It's a team who are near us in the league table. And if we get that win, we're more likely to win that game. It lifts us further above the relegation zone. But, if we can get something out of this derby, it's a massive bonus to us that we aren't necessarily expecting.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope we can get something. Obviously, be fantastic if we could get at least a point out of the game, just edge us a little bit closer to where we want to be. And then we can put this horrible season on and off the pitch behind us with still plenty of stories, speculation and all the rest of it flying around about the future of Everton Football Club. There we go. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling about this game and any Reds who'll be watching. I know loads of you will be watching, so let us know how you're feeling about it all in the comments. There you go. Make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And that goes for you Reds as well.
You know you want to.
You know you want to, all these Reds who watch us. Just get us over to the... Listen, you could get us to 100,000 subs, and that'd be like our win, wouldn't it? So, that'd be like our win. Yeah. Be like our win. Also, join us over on Toffee TV Premier, which you being a member of Toffee TV Premier really helps this channel out. Keeps us going. Keeps the lights on. Keeps Jack getting Jack down here. It really does help. So, the link in the description. QR code coming on the screen now. Thanks for watching. See you later.